We're back with the next episode of the F122 career mode here with Mclaren, and we are in classic track Imola. And to be honest, the car, not exactly brilliant around Imola. Well, I'll say not the car, it's more or less me. It's a weird track. I like the fact they took it that final chicane, but at the same time, like, the run I'm getting just wasn't good. Practice didn't go to plan. Qualifying, it went a wee bit better. I mean, we didn't finish last, but of course this is the weekend where we do have a sprint race. And a sprint race, the idea of a sprint race sounds fantastic, but I feel like in the game, more times than not, you're holding on to the position you qualified. Well, at least that's me, like, you know. And so you are kind of just going backwards, and I can't look after the tyres as good as the AI, so that was the problem. But guys, let's dive in to the sprint race grid for Saturday sprint.
It's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, George Russell, and Hamilton. Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Magnussen, and Valtteri Bottas. Mick Schumacher, Norris, Pierre Gasly, and Joe. Albon, Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda, and Stevens. Stroll, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of
Sprint race, we're starting 18th. Every driver on the mediums, like, it doesn't even give you the option to go on the softs. I mean, the softs probably wouldn't last 11 laps, but I would like to at least get the option, to be honest. But at the start, we get absolutely swamped. We're literally battling Stroll, Nicholas Latifi here for the bottom positions. If that doesn't sum up clinical depression, I don't know what does. We're near going to back to Latifi and Stroll, but we're hanging on. Moving on though to the end of lap 1, we overtake Latifi. Magnussen retires, basically the only position that we'll be gaining this race, and you know, that's it. We actually finished a lap down in the sprint race. Not good. There is the points. It was a Ferrari 1-2, so Ferrari definitely bouncing back from the earlier days of this championship. Max, Russell, Hamilton, Ocon, Bottas, Schumacher, Gasly, Guan Yu Zhou, Tsunoda, Perez, Vettel, Albon, Stroll, Latifi, Alonso, and our teammate of course also retired. So, but we've just not scored any points from McLaren. It's shit. Like, I mean, as you can see, Ferrari lead a 1-2 in the championship. Still very close, but I feel like Ferrari just have a performance advantage, and it's just to be expected that they are going to pull away. But next up is the race. I doubt we're going to find race pace overnight, but rain is threatening. And as you see, the rain has arrived, and it is a wet start here in the intermediate conditions. 32 laps. I mean, I don't even know what conditions I'd rather. I mean, I feel like in wet, there's going to be more mistakes from the AI, but also in turn there's going to be more mistakes from me. And look at that, man. Look at the launch these AI are getting compared to me. And since it's such a long straight, I mean, you're losing about 5 tenths. I absolutely launched it though. Into turn 1, we basically just gained what we lost. And now we have Latifi and Fernando Alonso in front of us. Perez pretty far down as well. Albon in front. And in these conditions, man, it is literally just a brawl for all. Ferrari hoping to get a 1-2 at their home Grand Prix. We move on. DRS has been enabled here on lap 7, so I thought, fuck it, it is time to pit here for a set of tyres. And I went, what's going to get to the end but be quick? Medium is always my preferred race tyre. As you can see, some cars have pitted, the top guys haven't, which I was actually a bit surprised. But the estimated life is 19 laps, so at this rate you're going to be driving about 5 laps over that. So not particularly good, but some cars came in the previous lap, which ain't good. But what actually happened here? We exit the pits, and I get stuck in what is it? I can't remember what it was. I actually got stuck in 5th gear and lost a shit ton of time. And also the AI, their pace compared to me here was a disgrace. Like, the track's like half wet, half dry, and the track, look how much the gap Magnussen's pulled. Just exiting the corner. Magnussen pits. Don't know why he pit it. I mean, look at my pace he had, and then look at that. Latifi and Russell are literally ahead of us before we even like get across the line. It's fucking like I mean, I like playing on like a higher difficulty in the F1 games, but when you're on a controller, you do get swamped. Certain stuff they're just completely overpowered in. And then next up we have Norris behind us and Sebastian Vettel. Norris overtakes us on lap 16. Moving on, We get lapped. Norris again, who's had to pit again, overtakes us. We've now got Alexander Albon and Sebastian Vettel behind us, but we do have about 3 laps to go because we have been lapped. Albon absolutely sends it. We go over the chicane and manage to hang on to P15, not that it matters. And we've also damaged floor. Moving on to the last few laps though, and I mean, once you go off the cliff, I mean the pace was bad enough being on the cliff, but once you go off it, Albon overtakes us. We then have the next lap with 3 cars within 5 tenths of us. Latifi overtakes us. We then try and do a Fernando Alonso move where you take it that wide to get that much for the inside, the drive at the corner. Doesn't happen. Vettel capitalises on that. He overtakes us, goes P17. We're literally just hanging on to position here with Kevin Magnussen, but the tyres are that done. Like, I mean, you try and turn, and the car just doesn't work. You know, it was horrendous. We end up finishing nowhere near them, and yeah, Ferrari get themselves a 1-2. Max on the podium as well. Carlos Sainz win. A very, very good weekend here for Ferrari, the Ferrari boys. As you can see, basically maximum points. They couldn't have. I mean, even there was maximum points for Ferrari. So Ferrari bounced back after, of course, that disaster in Bahrain. But next up, I believe it is Miami, the glamour and glitz of Miami. Norris still sits 9th. We still sit practically at the bottom. But that will do it for this episode of F1 2020. Career mode here with McLaren. It only goes up from here, or does it?